All right. I'm here with the chin of Scott Michael Wagstaff, who plays Chris in the remote.
Hey, mate.
What's happening?
Hey, bro.
This is the best
Good.
work you've done. This is
No,
good.
no, this is my new look.
Chin acting.
Chin acting.
Nice.
Yeah.
How's it working out?
It's good. It's good. It's very jaw-like.
If you're going for like Batman or something, maybe that's like, the way to put the new footage on your show reel.
Don't bring my dog into this.
You're back.
Yeah.
Don't bring it. Yeah, for people that don't know, Scott's dog is called Batman. And he needs to now buy a cat called Robin.
Oh, God. Batman had eaten.
Seems like a perfect fit. Cool, dude. Give people like a little bit of a bridge version of, who is Scott Michael Wagstaff as a performer, like some of the stuff you've done, and just the cliff notes to who the hell you are.
Sure thing, bro. Sure thing. So way back in the day, I used to do musical theater, bit of Twinkle Toes, put some ballet tights on, believe it or not, and did some like cruise ship stuff, like got to travel the world. It was fun. And for some reason, when I was on a cruise ship, I was kind of like, oh, I just want to do acting. That's all I want to do now. So I moved off into London, and then still did some dancing for a little bit, like got to dance at the Olympics, which was really cool in that period. And then started to segue completely out of the commercial dancing realm, fully into acting, kind of got my foundation in Meisner, like training, and then went on to AMAW. I got to meet your lovely self. And
like a lot of the other cast on the remote office. Not all, but quite a few.
Quite a lot of us. And and then it was just really that. I mean, it was off the back of the Meisner course, really. I started to kind of like work in film, produced my first film, and as well as also got cast in some shorts and lived that life for a bit, then worked in casting and got some experience in the casting office, which then also got me more opportunities to act in like kind of more higher end indies. And then eventually and got my first TV gig on the Beebs, and then came over to America and got the working papers and been here ever since, riding the TV film train here in the States. That's
over in La La Land.
What's that?
Over in La La Land.
Over in La La Land, exactly.
Because you were filming this with us, obviously, with you being in LA. We had Cal, who was in New York, and then obviously most of us in the UK, but there's a few even that were in Spain. So this was actually quite a sort of across multiple locations endeavor, and Zoom let us do that. And we'll get into maybe some of the stuff around logistics of acting on Zoom and all that, because I've asked everybody about it. But before we do that, let's talk about the character that you play, because he was one of the first ones that came to mind for me with this show. If anything, I've had the idea for this show, or not this show, but something about this world for maybe 4 or 5 years, if not more. And this particular character, like there was always an embryo of that at the core of it. And he became his own thing. But tell us a little bit about Chris Johnson in your eyes. Like, who is he? What's he all about?
Yeah. Well, on the surface, Chris is, from where I've lived in Leeds, like, we've got that, all this kind of stuff came from that setting of you working this job in Leeds, right? And also growing up in the West Midlands, I kind of related to Chris about his laddishness, with like the schnaff, the gains, the the banter, all that kind of stuff. Always cracking the jokes, but also mostly to like that point of the under the surface of him actually kind of being a little bit pained inside about his girlfriend. He's actually just like really just a little boy who wants to be loved, and uses all of the banter on top to kind of deflect and just like make everybody like him in that sense. And you know what I mean? Like we all relate to that. I definitely relate to the kind of part of him that was very much like, you crack a joke to deflect the stuff that you don't really want to address. You know what I mean? And that was kind of that was it in my eyes mostly, at the core of it. The guy who wanted to just be loved and liked, but on the top, he's just been a complete clown just to deflect all of that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it would have been easy to fall into the trap of him just being about like all the jokes. And
Oh, yeah.
sometimes like, there are moments where even I was mindful of going like, is that too far? But
Yeah.
I think because we gave him levels, no, but it's true. Because some of the
That's
things,
just me, isn't it?
well, there's that too, which is why it was perfect casting.
Yeah, thanks.
But it's also like, you know, it works because we do get to see the other side of him as well, against his will, perhaps. But I think there is that, like, without giving it away, there is that journey for him where you actually, it's almost like people, I hope, will empathize with him, even if they don't always like what he says sometimes, because they'll know where it's coming from.
Well, I really hope so. And yeah, and that's the other thing. I think those moments that we do see in the series where we get that crack of vulnerability from him, like that we then get it. It takes a little bit to get there, but in some parts. So like, it's going to be an interesting journey, I think, for the audience once they're watching this guy,
Yeah.
until we get to that moment where he goes, oh, okay, all right, I see what's happening here. But until that moment, we'll see what happens in the comments.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I think that's the same for a lot of the characters, but like on any show, especially on Ensemble, which is what this is. Like, this isn't about it looking polished like a Spielberg sort of feature, or, like some amazing, well shot HBO show. It's done on Zoom. So the character is what leads it. And there's 17 actors in this thing. And I like to think that all of them, even if they've only been in one episode, people can see a fully rounded character in all of them. But it does sometimes take a little while to actually see who they are and go through a few episodes. Mm-hmm. So if you're watching this interview and you've only seen episodes 1 or 2, stick with Chris. He evolves. He also devolves at the same time. But, so here's a question off the back of that. When we first spoke about this, what did you think of the character of Chris, and how did that change, like now that you sort of embodied him a little bit?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, classically, I don't know, for me, when I just get handed something, straight away, obviously it's surface stuff. It takes a little while to dive deeper, especially when you start experiencing things. So essentially, I'm like, oh, this is just the clown side of me I get to play with here. So I'll bring that into it hard. I know how to do that as a human being. So awesome. That's just going to be a lot of laughs, a lot of banter, a lot of fun. I'm going to try and poke a few people and kind of agitate them a little bit. So that was kind of like initially the first kind of thoughts, as it were, when, you gave me the page. Then obviously now we're involved into, okay, no, this guy is very broken inside, and he does not want to admit it, but he does want to kind of find some kind of leeway into some kind of authentic conversation about what he should be doing. Especially when it comes to like, it generally, like I said before, it's like, this guy just wants to be loved. And like right now his heart's broken and he's in pain and he does not know how to deal with it. And he does not know how to talk about it. And he only knows how to do like, two things. And that's banter and schnaff. And well, 3, go to the
sometimes both at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think it was an important character as well, because it led us a lot of characters, without implicitly prodding in a particular like issue or theme, have parts of their story that do give nods to pretty important things that, have been rife for a long time, or in some cases, came to light through what was the last year and a half of the lifestyle that we've all been living. And I think with the Chris character, definitely there is that just whole underbelly of, people generally being able to express themselves and their emotions and how to handle that. But moreover, if we talk about it from a gender perspective, just like how do men deal with that, and stuff that most times, 9 times out of 10, guys aren't taught or shown. And I know it's something that, you've looked at as possible narrative stories of your own in the past, and always had sort of something that you've been drawn to about it. So it felt quite appropriate that you would be this guy.
Yeah, totally. I think like you hit the nail on the head, man. And that's the thing. Like it feels always kind of like falling in line with these types of roles that there's a brokenness inside and there's a cover up on top, but eventually we get there. We you crack the you let the gold out, but there was something else I was going to say off the back of that, but I forgot, so we'll keep moving on.
It'll come back to you. Okay, thank you. Let's keep moving on. So when it came to then doing this over the medium of Zoom, I think, had you done some stuff on Zoom from like an audition perspective, or had you done it performance-wise before?
Yeah. I think, well, I'd actually been in a class as well prior. So like, as the pandemic hit and stuff, the acting class that I was in very quickly transitioned to Zoom, as a lot of studios did, especially over here. I don't know how they did it in London, but here they
Same, I think, or at least the ones I know.
Yeah. Right. So, there was already quite a lot of experience already just from that. But then other auditions started to come through. Like, there were some commercial auditions where they had to do the Zoom thing, rather than just request a self-tape like they do for theatrical. So then there's like, I got to experience that element as well. So definitely kind of started to create a relationship with Zoom early on, before we were kind of still in like talking about it, I think, at the start of all that time. And when did
we started talking about it, I think, in earnest, I want to say September-ish, October-ish of 2020. Yeah, right. We maybe did some test stuff, and then I sort of disappeared for 3 months and had to write this fucker. And then I think we started filming, I want to say early February, late January 2021.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So, like,
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. There was already there was definitely a lot of experience on my end, like with working with Zoom in the acting capacity, which is
so great. Technically, like just using the medium of the tech you were savvy with. And how, if in any way, did it differ from a performance perspective to be doing something that was sometimes with a shitload of people on it, and that was scripted and maybe wasn't like a commercial or a corporate or an audition, which still is performance, but this was maybe a little bigger in some ways? I don't know. Like, was it different, or was it much of a muchness?
But I guess thinking of it from the perspective, like working with loads of people at once on all these screens, it was like a community theater feel about it in ways, or something. It was you kind of got that, because it's that real time. We were doing the one take things as well, so it was like, we'll just keep going until we get the take. And that's obviously you can't retake the theater, but you're doing it in one take, so mostly you're just in the mix with these actors, just trying to feel and flow the vibe until we got it like on that one singular all the way through take. So that was a cool element of Zoom that I actually really enjoyed, because you had the challenge of like being it the whole time. And even like, there's moments where I had some moments of corpsing, like with other people and stuff like that, because of some of the stuff that came out authentically when you told us to jam and improv. So that was really fun. That was
sometimes like it's hard to hide some of that, as people will see, like people will probably notice, because I learned a lot, as we all did, by making something on Zoom for the first time, that there's little kind of technical things that I didn't cater for, that I wouldn't have known of at the time. Like, if people leave a call and they don't mute themselves first, it shows their picture, the profile picture, and then it disappears. So a lot of times you'll see actor headshots pop up for like a second and then disappear. It's like, all right. Or like sometimes the sound isn't always as great because people were using different microphone qualities. And so there's all these things that sort of come with it. And then like, people say something and someone's laughing, and you can't, like, I can cut away from that person, but you still hear them laughing in the background.
For sure. That was one challenge as well, the mic threshold stuff with Zoom. Like, those moments, like, you're used to having a mic here, as an ex when you're working on TV and film. So like, and if you haven't got one set up here, or the settings in Zoom. So like sometimes when you're in a bit of a different kind of feeling and it's got to be a bit under the breath, we were losing it, weren't we? We were getting that moments like, your line just did not come out at all. So
like actors couldn't hear you.
Yeah, we couldn't do it.
And like in the edit, sometimes you can tell that the levels are lower for some versus others. And even like adjusting it a little, it does help. But sometimes even then, you can just tell. And I think even the best sound designers would probably find it difficult to completely get rid of the discrepancy. But that's, this is our Frankenstein love.
Yeah, get the stitches, baby.
Yeah.
But I thought the one thing I did think that was actually really useful, like from a TV film acting capacity, is like being able to play, with your own closes and your own mediums and your own, like, you know what I mean? And like playing, you get to, because, this thing doesn't zoom. So you get to create that moment. And like, there were moments when we could see everybody had moments where they were just like, kind of just thinking a little bit more, and having a very kind of serious mode about something. And then someone got a bit wild, or Mike standing up with his boxer shorts out, that kind of thing. Yeah, that was really fun.
Or just people taking a moment, because the pace is, for the most part, pretty quick. Because on a team call in real life, people just talk pretty quickly. So then when somebody knew that it was their line, but they took a moment to just hold the frame, it actually does add extra effect. Which, you think that people will get fatigued of watching boxes on a screen, but I'm hoping that actually there's enough going on that there'll be enough to keep people drawn in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. I wrap this up. You might have seen some of the ones I've done already by asking some quick fire questions at the end with some cue cards here.
Okie dokie.
Very, I've been saying very Jimmy Fallon, but I'm going to say very Conan style, just because it's in homage to him finishing his shows. Even though I don't
myself.
He did these gimmicky things. So I'm asking people to answer these as the character. So it's your chance to revisit.
Okay.
Revisit Chris.
All right.
And if some of these are shit, then I'll just skip them. So let's start with this. Chris.
Hi.
Growing up, who was the favorite in your family?
The favorite in my family was myself.
You sure?
Yeah, absolutely.
How many other people were in your family?
Just me. And my mom and dad. That was
it. Let's see. Oh no, I can't ask Chris that. Maybe ask him this. Have you ever had a recurring dream?
Yeah, I have. I basically, I don't know what it was about, but I was schnaffing in the middle of the woods, and this bear just kept coming up and just trying to steal my schnaff. Just for like, and I had to chase him, and I'd never catch him, and it just happened again. Sometimes it happens 4 nights in a row, and I'm like, why is this bear just taking my schnaff? And I mean, I went berserk. That bear could have killed me. It never did, but it just kept taking my schnaff. So when I'm getting to the last bite every time.
Freudian.
I know, bit of trauma that.
My favorite part of that was that the question was, have you ever had a recurring dream? And the initial part of the answer was, yeah, I don't know what it was. Okay, Chris.
You know he's still in the old burns.
What's the best evening you've ever had?
It's a bit of a dangerous question. But the best evening I've ever had is it now? It's a bit. I don't think I can say this on camera.
Okay, what's the second best evening you've ever had?
Okay, second best evening is probably where I benched 240, 5 reps, and then went to PF Chang's for some chicken straight after.
It's a long trip from London to go to a PF Chang's, man.
I know, yeah. Well, it was like I was on my way to Vegas. We had a lads' weekend.
Right. That's a commitment and a half.
Yeah, bro.
Okay. Oh, this keeps coming up for people. Okay, I'm going to ask you too. What do you imagine people say when they gossip about you?
And then they'll say he's got bloody big biceps. He must work out a lot. Sexiest man I've ever seen in my life. Probably he looks like he'd know a thing or two.
Or in the words of Susana, played by Maria Lavo, He has big muscles but tiny legs.
Hey.
Finally, Chris, for you, what would be a good death?
Any death in Reservoir Dogs.
Speaks for itself. Awesome. Thanks. We can now exercise Chris from out of this space. Get him out. Get him out. Any death in Reservoir Dogs. Cool. All right, dude. Thank you. I guess final moments to you, like I'm giving everybody. If you want to plug any of your upcoming work or past work, anything that you want to sort of promote, go for it. And if people want to connect with you on the socials, plug away and let them know where they can do that.
Rock and roll. Yeah, man. So almost finished the festival run on #FitnessProblems, which is a fun comedy micro short. So yeah, you probably just kind of keep a watch on my Instagram at Scott M Wagstaff for that. And also, it's been a long time coming that we finished a festival run on Boss Kiss, which is the comedy short that we are to release as well. Yes, I will leave it at that rather than give the synopsis. Just keep a watch on the old Instagram, and you'll see some bits from me and the team there.
Nice. So those two aren't out yet publicly. They're finishing festivals, and then you're going to decide how to put them out into the world.
Yes, Boss Kiss will be coming very, very soon, and then #FitnessProblems is about to follow. Yeah, we've just got a few more announcements on #FitnessProblems at the moment.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you, dude.